everybody, welcome! Finger tracking. When and how to say goodbye to pointing. When we want to talk about when and why to discontinue finger tracking, we want to think about why. This slows down our reading. It inhibits phrase reading when pointing to one word at a time. Pointing is a motor movement and is slower than automatic visual processing. When do we want to get rid of finger tracking? Once your reader has mastered one-to-one correspondence, which is matching written word to spoken word. When they've mastered left to right directionality, meaning we read from left to right. When they've mastered top to bottom directionality, we read from top to bottom. And knowing the first word or letter of the page and the last word or letter of the page. We also want to discontinue finger tracking usually around reading level, guided reading level D, typically. That can come at level C or maybe E sometimes. Are there exceptions to this? Of course, there are going to be times your reader should or can use their finger. For example, maybe the text is a bit difficult or it's a new text. When your reader is making errors or not monitoring their reading, they need to decode an unknown word. The format or layout of the text is new for them. For example, nonfiction with the headings and the captions and the labels, it's a lot on a page. Or poetry, for example. Maybe there's like a shape poetry or something different, the format, and they need to use their finger. Some helpful hints. Some things you want to say to your reader as they're reading. We want to tell them to read with your eyes. As your reader moves their finger out from the book, encourage them to read with their eyes. The next thing you can do is lightly push their finger out of the text. Once you remind them to read with their eyes and they continue to bring their finger into the text to track, just lightly push their finger away without speaking and continue doing this until they stop. Number 3, remember, of course, there are exceptions like we'd said before. Encourage your reader to get their finger out to help decode an unknown word if the text is too difficult or the format is new or tricky. To promote fluency, once that finger is out of the text and they're not using it to track, have them start reading in phrases, and you can model this by reading in 2 to 3 word phrases. You can also use your reading finger to decode. Teach them to use that finger to decode when faced with an unknown word. That's when they want to get that finger out. And you can use your finger to keep track of your place in the text. So if there's several sentences on the page, they can put their finger at the end of the sentence or at the far right of the page and read to their finger and then move it down per line just so they don't get lost in the text. And of course, I'll have some upcoming videos to model fluency, especially that reading in phrases and then tracking the text without using your finger. The next video is a video of our daughter reading a text and me encouraging her to take her finger out and to read with her eyes. You'll notice me pushing her finger away. I hope this helps.
One day, Bear went down to the pond with his fishing pole and a big can of worms. While he was pulling putting a worm on his hook. While he was putting a worm on his hook, he looked down and saw a big fish. But when Bear stood up to throw his line in the water, his shadow scared the big fish away. "Go away, Shadow," cried Bear. But Bear's shadow would not go away.